Hey guys, welcome back to New Record Day. My name is Ron. I apologize that I've missed the last 2 weeks of Frequency Friday. Unfortunately, I've been sick. Sarah was sick and just have a lot of things going on, so I just didn't get around to doing some videos. I'm going to try to make up for that right now. We're actually going to kickstart the Adante review now. I don't want to waste any time, and there's a darn good reason for that. $1,798 right now is what you're going to pay to get the Adante AS61s with the stands, and the stands are excellent. I've got a couple small issues with them, but it's not that big of a deal, and we'll talk about that more this week, and I'll do some follow-up videos as we start to unpack this review. Here's the thing. These were $2,500 just for the speakers, and the stands were $600. It's like half off right now. I have no idea why. I'm not sure if they're blowing them out, if they're discontinuing them, whatever. It doesn't matter. What does matter is this is a crazy, crazy good deal. One of the best deals that I've seen in quite some time. And since I'm in the middle of this review, or starting this review, I thought, I got to get going because you guys need to know right off the bat whether or not I think you should buy them at that price point. And the answer is yes, 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 all day long, as long as you're cool with what I'm going to be saying about these speakers. The Elac Adantes are a truth-telling speaker. You guys remember Lord of the Rings? You know, the Eye of Sauron looking for the hobbits as they're trying to make their way to Mordor? The Adantes are like the Eye of Sauron, or in this case, the Eye of Andrew, but the hobbits don't make it to Mordor because the Adantes see everything. Everything is exposed, and I cannot stress this enough. This is both a great thing, an unbelievable thing when you have a recording that is great and sounds amazing, and then it is also an awful thing when you have an awful recording. This is not Andrew's fault. This is not the Adante's fault. Here's a tissue. You've got a bad recording. I'm sorry. That's just the way things go sometimes. So it's important to understand that this is not a speaker that is going to forgive awful recordings. And I want to start by saying that when it comes to resolution, so we're talking about what is being revealed in the recording, that is what the Adantes do best. In my opinion, when it comes to, here it is, here's the music, here's all of the music, these will knock your socks off. And so if we're already trekking right now and you're going, oh man, I'm a detail freak, I want to hear everything in the recording, you should be on Music Direct right now, and you should take advantage of the sale. And just to be clear, I'm not sponsored by Music Direct. I'm not being paid to say any of this, but this is a freakishly good deal, and you should seriously consider it. So let's just cover the basics. Fit and finish, as you can clearly see, is fantastic. You've got this beautiful brushed faceplate baffle, and it looks great. I haven't had any issues with scratches or things peeling off or anything weird that you should be concerned about. I went with the piano black glossy finish. I wish I hadn't, and the only reason is because fingerprints galore and dust. I wish I would have done their veneer look, one that they have going on. I think it's like a rosewood veneer. I wish I would have done that one, but whatever. It is what it is. Even still, the finish is beautiful. It's gorgeous. So, great. In the back of the Adantes, you have 5-way binding posts, and you have a pair of them. So you can buy wire and buy amp, which opens the door to some interesting possibilities. The Adante is, it's not the hardest to drive speaker in the world. I have it trekking right around 4 ohms based on my impedance sweep. I ran that by Andrew, and he's like, yeah, you're pretty much spot on with where you're at. And I don't remember the sensitivity. I'll have it somewhere on the screen here, but the bottom line is this. My Vinny Rossi Leo, no problem. So we're talking 25 watts, 50 watts into 50 watts into 4 ohms with the Leo. No problem. Plenty loud, louder than I would ever want them to be. But when I hooked up the NAD M10, which is under review right now, that's where things really got pretty darn exciting. That's 100 watts. And so giving them a little bit more wattage certainly move things in a more interesting direction. So I would say my recommendation, if you got 100 watts to work with, that's probably going to be a good starting point, in my opinion, based on my experience so far. As I was about to say, though, is, well, gosh, I mean, if you wanted to buy amp, you could run solid state to this guy. You could run tubes to the top if you want to do that. Or you could do solid state on both and have, more watts delivered to the bottom woofer, wake up the woofer, get a little bit more bass and impact. That's where you're going to want the muscle anyways. And then do whatever you want with the top end of the Adantes. Let me put it to you like this. When I did the review of the CSS Audio Crichton 2 TDs, which I liked a lot, I said that there were many tracks where, I'm missing the sound of the room. I'm not getting the reverb and the ambience. It's the opposite with these. I'm getting all of the room. I'm getting everything in the room. I'm getting the freaking cricket that was inside the studio making noise at the time that they were mixing things down. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. These are the opposite of what I was experiencing with the CSS Audio Crichton 2 TDs. These are all about resolution, all about detail retrieval. And what's interesting about it, and I want to point this out, is it's still not fatiguing. So this, and I haven't measured these, so I don't know for myself, even though it's Andrew freaking Jones. So let's just cut the BS here. Andrew did not hype the top end extension to try to, make you think that there's more top end there, and there's not, because he's just, having fun and messing with you. That's not what we have here. I expect to find that these are a straight line speaker. So what's interesting about it is you are getting a ton of top end extension out of these speakers, a lot of detail retrieval, but the top end doesn't ever sound elevated, and I never find myself entering any kind of listening fatigue at all. Upper mid-range is following suit of that top end extension. Again, it is all about everything that was in that mix is like for like. You're hearing it as it was recorded. Sometimes that is great. Sometimes that is not great. Unfortunately for me, I'm a big fan of 70s rock. And so there's times where I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound all that great. But again, not the speaker's fault. It's just the way that record sounds. And the Adantes are not going to pat them on the back and say, it's okay, I'll give you a free pass. There are no free passes with the Adantes. It's all about resolution. And like I said, sometimes that's great, sometimes that's not great. On the other hand, when you feed it something that is mixed really well and mastered really well, or high resolution content, audiophile recordings, holy crap, it is a treat. And you will be blown away by what these things are unpacking in the music. It's phenomenal. And that ranges to any and all instruments, you name it. If it was well recorded, well mastered, it's going to sound freaking amazing on the Adantes. Mid-range is precise, it cuts, and here's the biggest advantage with having a concentric driver, it is freaking holographic. So when we talk about the singer, when we talk about the vocalist, they are in the room with you, and it gives you this illusion of being able to just reach out and just touch the singer. It's crazy good. So that is something that I really love about the Adantes. I also love it about the Unifies, is you get this three-dimensional holographic midband, and the Adantes certainly do that, specifically when it comes to the center image, or in this case, vocals. Anything else in the midband, and it doesn't matter what the heck we're talking about, there are speakers out there that are going to play this game in the midband of saying, we're going to give you a little bit of lit from within character. We're going to give you a little bit more bloom in the midband. That is not what I hear in the Adantes. With the Adantes, I hear precision. I hear Andrew Jones going at the chopping block with very sharp knives, and he is dicing up tomatoes perfectly, and there you go. Perfectly cut tomatoes. I don't know why Andrew is cutting tomatoes right now, but there's the analogy. New record. New record day. Oh, man. I think you guys understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. There is nothing about the midband that I feel is exaggerated. There's nothing about the midband that I feel like he's going in there and trying to, I don't know, give you something that is perhaps colored or artificial intentionally. What I hear is, well, what I hear is a master at his work saying, no, this is what it actually sounds like. This is exactly what it sounds like. So, there you go. Moving on to mid bass and bass, I would say that is going to be really where things get pretty interesting with the Adantes. We do have a passive radiator in the front here. This is not an active speaker. The active speaker is actually inside the box, and there are also ports inside the box. The math involved in doing that, I don't even. It's making my head hurt. My brain is hurting right now just thinking about it. Here's the thing. Yeah. Perhaps this is a big maybe, and don't put too much weight in this. Maybe it's not the fastest sounding bass that I've heard compared to, you name it, any other speaker with an active driver in the front of the box where you have that immediate attack. Maybe it's not as quick, as fast, but it's a big freaking maybe. In exchange for that, and if I'm right, if that is perhaps maybe true, so we're kind of in neutral territory, like, okay, maybe you're going to sacrifice just a little bit of speed. What you do get in exchange for that sacrifice is some of the cleanest sounding bass that I have ever heard out of, let's just call it a sealed box, a sealed enclosure, okay? It is so freakishly, unbelievably clean sounding, and the bass notes are just money. Every single bass note that I hear is on point every single time, and it has confidence. It actually wakes up, and you're sitting there going, yeah, okay, all right, let's do some hip hop. Why the heck not? Drops into the 40s. I've got my in-room measurements right here that you can take a look at. That took a little bit of time to get it that clean, that linear. As you know, I had some issues here in the room with the CSS Audio Crichton 2 TDs. Thank you, Norm from AV Room Service. He gave me some suggestions on room placement. I started messing around with a couple of different options here, and I think I got these babies dialed in, and they sound fantastic. So, Norm, thank you. And last but not least, let's talk a little bit about soundstage, and let's talk a little bit about placement. I like bringing speakers way out into the room, and with Norm's suggestion, I actually didn't. They weren't too far out into the room, and I'll talk about this a little bit more as I start to dig deeper into this review, but you really don't have to get these crazy into the room to get them to open up. And when it comes to their off-axis performance, it is superb. You can listen to these firing straight into the room, and you will be blown away by the soundstage. There is no doubt that these are not a speaker that you have to be pointing at you. They're not picky when it comes to placement, in my opinion, to be frank with you. And I actually preferred them either facing in or maybe at my shoulders, somewhere around my shoulders. Or, and this is interesting, this was actually a tip that was mentioned by Andrew himself. He said, hey, cross the streams.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams.
So yeah, you actually have an aggressive tone of the speakers to where they're basically doing this crossing the streams, crossing right in front of your face. And maybe the fact that these are concentric drivers that allows this to work in a way that I have yet to experience. But gosh, I got to tell you, you get this rock solid foundation for the center image, and the staging left and right is wide and deep. It works. So if you decide to hit the checkout button, I would encourage you to give this setup a try. And I will continue talking about this in future videos as we dig in a little bit deeper with the Adantes. So that's that. We're done here, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. If you have any questions, please leave your comments down below. I'll be quick to answer them. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when the next video drops. We do have Patreon links down below, so if you want to support us, that would be fantastic. As we do the sound clips and commentary, which I plan to do this weekend, anybody that is a patron, you guys will be able to download the entire playlist. By the way, one thing that I'm starting to offer here, if you do decide to be a patron, you can call me and we can chat about any questions that you have. I want to be able to help you guys out, one-on-one consultation with anything. You want to talk shop about your gear, speaker placement, you name it, just an advantage of signing up. And it supports me and my family. Speaking of my family, Sarah is 7 months pregnant. We're almost there. And with twins, I guess they come like a month early. So maybe tomorrow. Yeah. All right. I need some NyQuil. All right. Good night.